deal.
Yeah, no misdirection here. No misdirection needed, all right? I called for this Friday.
Yes, true.
They went out and got it done. Good job, Ravens. You tired of seeing me in a hospital bed? You're tired of seeing me on crutches?
Yep.
You're tired of seeing me in a neck brace? So you go out and get Mad Max Wilds. Danny, there is only one thing left to say. The box!
Yes, the box! It's back.
The box,
The box.
baby. We're months away, but I am in the mood. Oh, my goodness. Where's the weakness?
Oh,
Well, do you want me to answer that?
that's a good question.
It ain't at quarterback.
No.
It's not at running back. The receivers are good. I hate losing Isaiah Likely. Good
Okay.
job, Giants.
Yep.
All right? But I'll deal with Mark Andrews. The defense, Danny, improved over the second half of last season. Defensive backfield looks, we know it's good, even though they tick me off sometimes, but it's good and gonna get better with the pass rush. Because that's something, as you said, Wiles, they didn't have last year. Jesse Minter, job well done. He's a defensive-minded coach. It's on.
It's on.
It is so
Gonna be
on.
sandwich making.
I would love a sandwich, but I did not love the trade.
What?
Really?
I did.
Oh, they gave up 2 first-round picks. I'll give you this. They're one of the few teams in the league that I think should have done that because they all about win now. They're win now, period.
Well, clearly, I mean, they were.
They have to be, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they've
Looking
been.
at but their personnel
Well, sure,
before Crosby, we got to win now.
Yeah, how about it?
How many years have they been S-Bob?
Oh,
This is probably
since Lamar became a superstar.
since Lamar became a superstar. So they're S-Bob again. So that is obviously familiar territory. I always respect a team taking a big swing. But the 14th pick, they didn't have the 29th pick because this was not a normal year. And we can roll our eyes or shrug our shoulders at that, but there is a significant difference between a mid-first-round pick and a late-first-round pick. And we can just look at the history of trading multiple first-round picks for non-quarterbacks. Those are the guys in the last decade who it's happened for. Obviously, jury's still out on Sauce Gardner and Micah Parsons, but early returns are not great. But you'll notice they're all 25, 26, or 27 years old. Maxx Crosby will be 29 years old. He's coming off the meniscus surgery, entering next year. And this is how it's gone for those teams.
You're like, but that's the Jalen Ramsey Rams.
Well, yeah. So,
Yeah,
so
they
listen,
won
That
the
was
Super
kind
Bowl,
of
right?
that's pretty sweet.
Well, no, I'm going to do it right here.
it
So,
is. Okay.
so Jalen Ramsey, that one obviously worked. But they also are the team that is probably the most antithesis of the Ravens because they are F them picks. They've used 1 first-round pick in the last 8 years. Whereas the Ravens, Brou, they build through the draft. They are an excellent drafting team. Laramie Tunsil, he won a few playoff games, but he's now not on the team that made that trade for him.
Okay, man. It is kind of perfect that Danny replaces Nick because they have like essentially identical ways of viewing things. And it's just so easy to pick apart. It really is. It's just so easy to pick apart. I love like this graphic is so perfect. It's so perfect. Like let's just dissect this so simply and easily. Okay, the Colts, who was their quarterback? It was Daniel Jones and then he even got injured. Okay, the Green Bay Packers, did they not get decimated with injuries? Their defense was legit and even Chew and still questions around that offense and Jordan Love in general, but Micah Parsons was absolutely positively working swimmingly. Swimmingly, okay, to use the corniest way to say it, with the Green Bay Packers undeniably. Okay. In 2020 with the Seattle Seahawks, it's like, what exactly was that franchise doing at that one? Obviously, we know they just won a Super Bowl. That was not that era. We obviously know that. Okay. The Los Angeles Rams, the first hiccup in this, an actual full-functioning franchise with a great coach, great quarterback, etc. What did they do? Oh, that's right. They won. They won a Super Bowl. Got it. The Texans, what has been their story since 2019? Can't quite figure out the quarterback position and the offense. And they had a couple, I'm pretty sure they had a couple coaches in that time frame. And so again, it's the Texans really haven't really been that functional until they got CJ Stroud and oh my gosh, I can't think of it. Demo Ryan, right? So, it was like hardly a full functioning franchise back when they made that trade. Same thing with Mac and the Chicago Bears. It's like who's the coach, who's the quarterback, what's the defense, offense, etc., etc. And now we got the Baltimore Ravens. Say what you will, but they've been an incredibly stable franchise and a top team in the NFL perennially year after year after year after year. You also have Lamar Jackson as your quarterback. That is going to be fundamentally different than say having who ended up being the quarterback. We had Daniel Jones for I think maybe like a game or two with that trade. And then it went on to a collection of characters. Obviously, Phillip Rivers for a minute and a half as well. So, it's just like making these comparisons are just silly. They really are. They don't really make a whole lot of sense when you're looking at some of these other teams and you're like, well, who was the coach? Who was the quarterback? The coach is getting fired. The quarterback's, a bust or getting moved on or he's old and past his, right? Like, all very specific situations. And the most specific conducive situation to actually winning a Super Bowl is indeed the Los Angeles Rams. And they check the appropriate boxes just like the Baltimore Ravens do. I mean, this was absolutely a swing. And I do agree that it was a valuable pick. It absolutely was a valuable first-round pick. No doubt about it. It would probably have been more valuable in a more quarterback-heavy draft where people were, that people were definitely looking to draft quarterbacks. That pick probably would have been even more valuable. But so I could see that pick being technically a little bit devalued, but I'm not going to try to get too lost in the actual draft value in terms of, I don't know, going from 14 to 25 to 28. I think there's a few dominoes in this draft that could really disrupt things honestly. So I think sometimes the draft is a little bit hard to tell the value considering you don't know what other teams ahead of you are about to do because some teams can make a couple really bad mistakes and now that 14th pick is like oh my god we were just the luckiest team ever because now we can draft X all because of whatever another team did in front of you. So, I think that the draft is a little bit more hindsight, honestly, which most things are hindsight 2020. But I think the NFL draft is honestly one of the most perfect examples just in all of life, let alone sports and let alone the sports world of hindsight is always 2020 in the draft. So, I think, you kind of have to wait and see just how valuable a pick really could be. But since I do feel that you have an actual genuine limited window at this point in time with Lamar Jackson to win a Super Bowl, it is just going all in. And again, I always want to emphasize this because not everyone watches every video, but like I believe that it's a limited video, a limited window for Patrick Mahomes, for Josh Allen, like for these quarterbacks right now. I think we all just got too excited at the idea that these quarterbacks can play until they're 50, right? We're kind of seeing flavors, snorts, of it with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, the best example, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes are just not those quarterbacks. They're just they're just not that style of play. And let's not act like Aaron Rodgers is out there just slinging and looking like a young Patrick Mahomes out there. He's just not. So the best guess. The most safest prediction of the future would be we look at these quarterbacks and obviously we're focused on Lamar here that these next 3 years will without a shadow of a doubt be if we're moving from this point forward from today onward if Lamar Jackson plays another 10 years which I hope he does if he plays for another 10 years it's safe to say in terms of his individual UAL contributing factor, his level of greatness most likely. And so therefore, their chance to win a Super Bowl will be within these next 3 years. It's just hard to imagine that Lamar Jackson is going to be the Lamar Jackson that we all know and love at 37-38. Now, it's not to say that he's not going to be great. It's not to say that he's not going to continue evolve and change his style of play, because I think it would have to at like 37, 38, 39, 40. But we have to see that. You have to wait and see that. In terms of the Lamar, the version of Lamar that we know, the bona fide MVP who can seemingly do it all, who can get away from anyone from the Maxx Crosbys of the NFL, you're probably looking at a 2, 3 year, 4 year max. You know, anything beyond that, then you really are just kind of like we are in a new world. But I mean, it's not a shock that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, all got injured. All got injured and 2 out of 3 of them needed surgery, right? Like that's not a shock at this point. The wear and tear for these types of quarterbacks specifically is just going to be so much higher than that of like the Tom Bradys of the world. And so, you know, these picks, the 14th pick, first round, etc., etc. It matters and it doesn't. If you can replace that for a 29-year-old ready to rock right now, Maxx Crosby, it makes sense. It makes sense. But when you do things like this, it does put the pressure on to win right now to make that payoff appropriate, because you know it's like if you don't win right now, then in a blink of the eye like you are like, oh wow, Crosby's like 32 and slowing down, and you know, and Lamar Jackson's like 31, you know, whatever, and you're just like wow, okay, and they're no longer quite what you want them to be, and they're no longer quite worth the pay that you gave them. I don't even mean in terms of how much you're paying them for millions, but in terms of like what you had to get to acquire, you know, and what those picks could be in 28, 29 or something, you know, 2028, 2029, where you're just like, oh, wow. We could have had so and so if we drafted him a couple years ago. His production is way more than Crosby is in 2029 or something, right? And we didn't even win back in 26, and now we would have been better off just having him as a you kind of start to play that again, that hindsight game. So the only thing that really shuts that up and makes it pretty straightforward is to just win, which is obvious. So, I think at the end of the day, cause I've been thinking about this so much, I do think with Jasim Terra and defensively, they are positioning themselves to maximize Crosby immediately. And this defense, but is the team as a whole maximized immediately to win the Super Bowl, right? That is actually the big question. Not will Maxx Crosby be great for this team, because he will be great for his team, for this team. Will be great for the defense, and I wholeheartedly believe that Jasim Terra will make this defense legit and elite and a top defense in the NFL. But can the Baltimore Ravens as a whole be an elite top team in the NFL immediately, because there's no time to kind of work this out? If Crosby was 26 like with the Micah. And that's why the Micah trade makes even more sense, because like you're betting that like you're going to get at least another 5, 6, or so, you know, however many years of his prime, where Crosby definitely has a smaller timeline, and you have a quarterback who, again, I think it's just, I'm not going to go on a whole rant again, but like it's just where I think we're all kind of in real time figuring out how the Mahomes, how the Allens, how the Lamar are going to age day by day. Again, I'm not putting him in a box and shipping him off and saying, his best years are done. It's just that, you know, where we are at this point entering uncomfortable territory with all of these quarterbacks who are truly elite and like just the most physically gifted athletes that we've ever really seen at the quarterback position. And what it looks like when they're getting banged up, when they're being asked to do so much more than essentially any other quarterback that we've seen up to this point in the history of the NFL. So, it's just we're in new territory. We're on new grounds. And so, that's why to me the safest bet is to just go all in and do everything you possibly can to win right now. And who cares what 3 years looks from now? Because 3 years from now, it's like I don't know where we stand. I don't know where we stand. I cannot say confidently that Lamar, Mahomes, Allen, etc. 3 years from now, so take it to 2030, that I'm just going to be like, yeah, they're clearly the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. So, do everything you can right now. Do everything you possibly can right now. And this is where then, and I'll end here. This is where you're now banking on and betting on when you're looking at the other teams. You're like, well, the Kansas City Chiefs are kind of rebuilding. They're behind. They have to draft all these guys and they're going to have a bunch of young guys that they're going to have to work through, right? You're like, Josh out of the Buffalo Bills. We still think our guys better, our team's better, move on. Now that our defense is also getting better. Like, we got Maxx Crosby, etc., etc. Move on. Denver Broncos, they're still trying to figure something. The Colts, you got Daniel Jones. Great. We got Lamar Jackson, right? Like New England Patriots. Oh, that you think Drake May is great. That's cute. We got Lamar Jack, right? You're still making all those other comparisons at some of these other teams where you're like, we like our quarterback better. We like our defensive coach right now better, right? Like we are betting on that when it matters most, when it's time that you need to show true greatness. We got an all-time great Hall of Fame quarterback, whereas you have Daniel Jones, right? Like that's kind of what you're getting at. And so you're just like, let's add the bodies. Let's add the other guys, the other pieces that we know can get it done, like the Maxx Crosbys of the world, rather than trying to figure out some of these younger players. Can they develop into one day a Maxx Crosby? So yeah, seems to make sense logically from my viewpoint, but there is a fragility. There will always be a fragility when you're putting all those eggs in that basket. Like the Green Bay Packers found out that when there's an injury, it's like, now we're in trouble, right? Now we're in trouble. And then if you don't win that year, now you lose your great defensive coach, and then and then kind of that cycle begins. And it was kind of a similar situation with the Rams. The Rams fell off a cliff. They're lucky enough that they have a great quarterback, have a great coach. It was all worth it, but they were kind of struggling. Now they've been competitive, but now they're back to going Allen, getting rid of all those picks. They now have to get other, like it's just they lost to the Lions, they lost to the Eagles, they lost to the Seahawks, which was their closest since the Super Bowl, right? And so you could say, oh, well, it still kind of worked, but like the one year I think they missed the playoffs where they definitely got kind of like decimated with injuries. And then they lost in back-to-back divisional rounds, right? I mean, like we could say, well, that's pretty good. They got to the divisional, and it's just like so did the Baltimore Ravens, so did the Buffalo Bills, right? Like so did lots of teams. So it's like so did the Dallas Cowboys. So you know what it all comes down to. It's like when you make a big move like this, can you win that Super Bowl in the time frame that move actually paid off, where then when you're kind of dealing with some of the repercussions of it, you're now allowed to kind of come up a little bit short and then make another move to kind of get you back over there, which is exactly what the Rams did. It was totally okay for them to lose to the Lions and lose to the Eagles and whatnot. Nobody wanted it, but it was like, they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Now that time has passed, and now it's no longer okay for them to lose to the Eagles, to lose to the Seahawks. Now they're kind of been able to refortify their own draft picks and say, okay, we're now going to push our chips to the middle of the table again and kind of, try to do what we did again a few years ago. And then it's lather, rinse, repeat. So, it'll be interesting. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Baltimore Ravens? I mean, what does a chart like this, a graphic like this really mean to you? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So, you agree with me or disagree with me? Either way, let's get to some discussions. Let's get to some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be a part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. thank you so much. See you next time.